Hi, everybody. As it says later in this song, and we all know, strong enough to bear the children and then get back to business, right? There's no way that men could do that. Pardon me. Here we go. Jessica, thank you so much. Being here today with all of you on a day like Pink Fix Day, which focuses on lasting impact and transformation in women's lives around their finances, is literally my dream come true. I always thought of myself as a bad bitch, and I wanted to be one, and felt like the firm I was with was like, be different, but not like that. So I left an amazing partner, a dream partner, because I wasn't feeling fulfilled in every day. It felt a little too easy. Anyway, early on in my career, I had the privilege of having this adorable little old man as a client who finally took up my enthusiasm. It's really hard to get old men on board with, yay, we're gonna do this. And he was the first one that took advantage of me wanting to sit down with the next generation and talk to them about what's happening. So since he bit, I was like, this is gonna be amazing. So he invited both of his grandchildren over to his house. And pardon me, after he commended them about how well they had done with the money that they have thus far, he handed the table over to me, and I am like bursting at the seams because I get to tell them that they are each going to inherit, which I know it's sad because we don't want our loved ones to die, but he was very excited to let them know what they were going to be inheriting, and I was too. It's gonna be $5 million each. $5 million each, and I was so excited. So I told them in my exuberance and received a way different reaction than what I had anticipated their reaction to be, because at the time, $5 million would have solved all my problems, for sure. And they looked like it was heavy on them, and they felt scared about it. And I thought, holy cannoli, I have to get this together so that I can walk them through this. And of course, as Jessica said earlier, we're women. I know that I can emotionally connect with you and make sure that I get you where you need to be. But it pointed out to me at that time that emotions are a really big deal around money. 70% of all wealth that is transferred is gone within 2 generations. 90% of it is gone by 3 generations. When you're handing over $10 million, I think you'd like to think that it might go on for a little bit. And I realized that that was the bridge that I needed to establish, how to get my clients from not communicating at all about money to talking about it and then digging even deeper, which nobody wants to do, typically. Over COVID, and probably a little bit before that, I discovered something called the Enneagram, which is a system, a system of personality typing that describes patterns in how people interpret the world and manage their emotions. It was, when I read through all of them, because the best way to get your Enneagram type is to really kind of just read into it and see what feels like you. And I got to the type 8, and I was like, holy self-awareness, that is totally me, totally me. And that was such a gift, because the difference in the Enneagram between any other personality test is that it digs into your core fears and core motivations. And I've been obsessed with it ever since I found out for myself, and then started incorporating it into my own life and seeing all of these positive changes that were happening, because I was able to use something called non-judgmental self-observation to observe my behavior, recognize what I didn't like about it, and change it. And it has helped me immensely. So I'm so obsessed about it. I talk about it all the time with everyone, if you spend a little bit of time with me today, it will be brought up. And I talked to Jessica, and she actually suggested to me, I think that you should, you're into this, you should incorporate it into your practice. And I was like, I would love to do it, but they would never let me. They wouldn't let me. There's no way they would let me with where I was. So I started using it, and it was that impact that I had been looking for. I had fallen into that I worked with really high caliber clients and would be so excited about planning for their future, because my dad did this my entire existence. I saw it done, and I saw it done well. And that if it's done and done well, you can achieve amazing things. But again, getting people excited about that is hard. So I started digging in deeper in my conversations with my clients, knowing it took several courses on the Enneagram, and so what I learned with it, I started incorporating with them. And so I dig a little deeper, and I'm talking to this woman one day, and she's one of my faves. We all have those. And she's got about $5 million all in, and she's in her 70s and retired, and life is really pretty great, and yet she feels so scared to spend her money. And this has been an issue for me for a while. I'm like, how can I let her know it's okay? And a lot of women need to be let know it's okay. So we started digging in, and all of a sudden she said, oh my gosh, Lauren, this is because my dad, I felt really guilty about spending money because he worked so hard for it, and a lot of this is inherited from him, and I want to make sure that I do right by him, and he had such strict rules about money, and I don't know what I'm doing. And I was like, nobody does. Nobody does, and it's okay, that's what I'm here for. But getting to that emotional depth of just figuring out where it comes from, because if you don't know where it comes from, you can't fix it. Finding out where it came from, she told me, was like letting down a boulder in her life. And that felt really good. So we mentioned a couple times I've been able to deal with high caliber level clients. And yet, the biggest one, and of course my favorite, is a $100 million client. And anyone in this business would love to have one client that has $100 million. That's pretty cool. And I had the fortune of working with, like I said, the best partner in the world, an older man in this industry. But he was not intimidated. He wasn't typical to the industry. He didn't make me jump through hoops to try something a new way. And so he let me have a seat at those tables where those big conversations were happening. And there were a lot of men in those rooms. And I don't think I mentioned, this client is a woman. So right up my alley. I'd be in these rooms, though, at these tables where a lot of men were sitting around. A lot of men who really liked her and respected her. And I still watched her be overlooked. I watched her say, I would like to XYZ. And I watched them go, no. And her, what? And I, of course, had to learn how to speak up for those things and mention that she wasn't being heard. But it just made me realize, if she with 100 million can be ignored by men, those of us with a lot less can very easily be ignored by men. And that has been proven true for anyone who's in this industry. When we go to industry conferences, and I get so excited because there is one whole session's devoted just to women in investing and helping us deal better with women. And do you know what they say in there? Make sure you make eye contact with the woman. And you really need to try to listen better. What? Is that not common sense? I feel like it is. So all of these things led me to believe then, if she's not being heard, that stinks. I believe every woman should be heard. How can I do that? And boy, wouldn't that increase my impact in the world. So I created my MAM process, making aligned money moves, and I based it on my Enneagram, and also the fact that, as Jessica mentioned earlier, our thought patterns are insane. 95% of our thoughts are our subconscious, so we're not even really thinking. And 90% of those thoughts are repetitive each day. 90%. That told me something about focus. We all just need help putting our focus here, because if we can focus here, it's going to achieve a lot. So our Enneagram, I dig in with you to figure out what's driving you. What scares you? What is money really about to you? And it's so different for everyone. And our industry wants a box to put you in and a plan to hand over some paper and say, here you go, we're going to be great. I think it takes more. You need to be in action. And I see so many plans that have maybe not failed over the years, because I work with clients that got enough money, but didn't achieve what it could have achieved had we been able to stick to things. So I want it to be more than just paper. I want to hold someone's hand. I think it was Amanda that said earlier, to be a guide for you. That's my intention, because money is scary, especially to women. Those of us who grew up in the 90s and before that, it was like a lot of harsh things. Be small. You're too fat. You're too thin. Don't be so loud. Don't talk about that. And so we need to know it's okay to use our voice, and that's much easier to do when we're coming from a place of health about the matter that we're talking about. The thing that helps you stay in action with the Enneagram, because I know it might sound a little crazy, is that, like, for example, I know that 6s are scared. They're very often scared, and they don't always want to admit it, and that's okay. But I know that for a 6, it's going to take me more time to get them in action. And I know more about them that for them, if they think about something, they've made a move. Truly. And if you're a 1, you are very action-oriented, and you need a task list. And if I give you that task list, you will have it back to me earlier than I asked for it, and it will be done perfectly, and we will just move on to the next step. So it's different for everybody, and this helps me really gear toward what you need. A belief is a thought that you keep thinking, and it's a thought that has momentum. Those are our beliefs. If we can change those, we can change how we've treated money, how we've been treated about money. When we know that we can do more and better, we do. The thing that Jessica taught me is that when you're brave enough to shine your light, people who need to see that will. And I feel so good now because I can bring my services to a whole host of women, and I can really have an impact with them now. I don't just charge them for a plan and move on. It is a real impact, and it means everything to me. So thank you. It is an honor to be with you all here today.